So the first film in the Dojo Challengers series was titled The Samurai from Nowhere. And I found that film to be a stunning example of just how rich 60s Chambura was, that even a fascinating movie like The Samurai from Nowhere goes unnoticed. I overall enjoyed that film, and I found that it provided one of the most realistic looks at the life and desperation of the Ronin. And while it did have plenty of swordplay, it kept a very light-hearted feeling, and I really appreciated that. I actually had no idea that Samurai from Nowhere had a sequel or was even titled Dojo Challengers 1 and 2. And if it wasn't for Merlin over at SamuraiDVD.com, I probably never would have known. On his site, you can get both Dojo Challenger films and a whole bunch of other samurai films that I talk about on this channel. He actually has a lot of great films that you can't really buy anywhere else, like After the Rain, that's sold nowhere. And his site is great for that, and he has plenty of films that I've never heard about, so I'm curious to check those out. One cool thing too is that they do all the subtitling, and from what I've seen, they give very accurate translations. You get none of that yellow subs garbage. These films really aren't the easiest to find, nor the biggest money makers, so it's important we keep businesses like this alive. Anyway, The Samurai from Somewhere, released in 1962. It stars Isamo Nagato and Tetsuro Tanba. This film is based on the writings of Yamamoto Shigeru. He's a famous writer which Akira Kurosawa based some of his films on, most notably Redbeard and Sanjuro. The Samurai from Somewhere also has a secondary title. It translates roughly as No Need for Questions and Answers, or my favorite, Don't Waste Your Breath Asking Why. I'm still not quite sure why it's called that, but maybe the title answers itself. It tells the story of young Lord Takanaka, who stands to succeed his father in the dojo. Soon after though, the young lord goes on a violent rampage. This then leads to all of his retainers thinking he's gone completely nuts. Never offering any explanation, the young lord continues his seemingly unprovoked attacks until he is sent away from his domain. So, this story in a lot of ways is like a mystery. Throughout most of the film, you're just trying to put the pieces together as to why the young lord is just lashing out in violence. And eventually we do get that answer, and it's in the grand finale. It makes the entire film worth it. It's actually a pretty interesting setup, and it's unlike what we usually get in this genre. So just like in the first film, this one has the famous Tetsuro Tanba. He makes his grand return as a basket-headed but skilled Ronin. He does take a step back in his screen time compared to the first film, and it's not really until the first hour that he makes his appearance. His character mainly serves as a problem solver, and he's gonna get to the bottom of why the young lord is going crazy, and hopefully fix it. Tetsuro Tanba really is great at playing the Ronin, and he's very great at playing the Ronin warrior type that doesn't say much, but he has charisma, and it's mostly from his actions and skills. We'll see him do badass things like fish with his katana or just fight hordes of enemies while wounded. The other star, Isamo Nagato, plays a completely different character than the first movie. In The Samurai from Nowhere, he was kinda goofy and lighthearted, but he had lots of charm. Here he plays an unstable and violent person. He'll attack samurai on a whim. Usually he goes after womanizers, which you'll find out why. But beneath his psychotic tendencies does lie its sympathetic persona, and for some reason you still kinda care about him. I do have to say, Nagato really does stand out as a great actor in this film. So as for the flaws to this film, it's mostly in the pacing, most notably the second act, but it is a little boring too in the beginning. What the film does is, it keeps us wanting to keep watching, basically for the sole purpose of finding out the mystery, but the film overall could have used a little more action and fight scenes, and less exposition. The big climax is where the film truly excels, and it does pay off. Not only is the mystery of why the young lord is lashing out explained, but it leads to an all-out fight where we see both characters fighting for their lives against waves of enemies. We even get to see Tanba fight with a spear, and one complaint I have about a lot of samurai films is they only show the katana, not the historical weapon that the real samurai used. In a lot of ways, this film reminds me of the excellent Sword of Doom. We get the psychotic main character descending into madness, eventually leading up to a bloody finale. I still prefer its more lighthearted predecessor, The Samurai from Nowhere, as it had better pacing and was an all-around more fun film. The Samurai from Somewhere is not a top-tier samurai film, and it's probably average, but I still consider it a hidden gem as it features two iconic samurai actors together in a very dark and unconventional storyline. So if you're interested in buying this film, check out Merlin's site at SamuraiDVD.com. I'll provide the link in the description below. Also, don't forget to support my Patreon to help this channel grow. Thanks for watching.